All right, I guess we're live now and ready to go. So I'm going to switch over to a screen share in just a moment, and we're going to kind of talk about this cool project idea that I had to build an Ethereum blockchain explorer. So I've been kind of involved in really just have been educating myself about the woolly world of cryptocurrencies, been doing some trading, been really just spending a lot of time keeping up with the different events going on in the development of Ethereum. Been following things like DevCon 4 that's going on this week, and just kind of really trying to learn and make sense of the whole ecosystem. Now, one of the things that I started to do in the past few weeks was to kind of explore how we can build an app which connects to the blockchain and ask and allows you to kind of query for information and whatnot. So there's a lot of apps out there that already do something really similar. An example of an app like that would be something like Etherscan or eStats. So these are just some existing solutions. Which let me switch over to screen share and I can start to show what's going on. Alrighty, so we got some crazy stuff going on here. But if we go to Etherscan on Google, so etherscan.io, it's a website which will show you the latest Ethereum like blocks, transactions. We can also view things like ERC20 tokens. So those are really cool. For those of you not familiar, an ERC20 token, a lot of these are things like what we call altcoins. So coins, that are much smaller market cap than things like Ethereum or Bitcoin, but still really relevant. So, you have like Binance Coin for the Binance Exchange, VeChain, Omisgo, Maker, 0x, Silica, Eternity, Basic Attention Token, and so on and so forth. So I'll probably do another live screencast where I talk a little bit more about this stuff because I find it to be super, super duper interesting, and to just kind of like go over like the state of crypto every week or so. I might be able to just easily go live and do something like this again. But let's kind of go back to the homepage and look at what we're really trying to build. So what's happening is on the Ethereum blockchain, there's a bunch of different like what they call blocks, and those blocks contain transactions and a bunch of other information associated with them. Now, every so often, a new block is made and it gets added to the blockchain whenever it's verified. I'm not going to go into the whole like cryptocurrency education right now because I've figured that if you like are watching this, you would probably already know what a block does and what a block explorer would kind of seek to do. So just kind of getting into this, this allows you to see information about one of the latest blocks, which was made like 52 seconds ago. Is number 667327231. So this is the latest one, and you can, easily go find its parent. And as you see, if you keep clicking on the parents, the number, the height number decreases because that one block's parent was the one made just before it, and so on and so forth. It also shows you like who mined it and other information associated with that. So that's cool and all. Really, what we want to look at, and kind of a question that I want to ask myself and ask others out there in the space is like, what makes this information really really useful. It's cool and all that we are seeing, there's a new block that just appeared. It's cool and all that we're seeing, all the blocks, all the transactions, who owns what, and all of the like transparent information on the blockchain. But one of the problems is there's no real like what I call analytics platform or search engine that's built on top of the the Ethereum blockchain, or rather any blockchain for that matter. So you can see all this information as it's happening, can kind of see the transaction history. There's a lot of great and useful information here, but it's hard to really kind of look through those transactions and figure out if there's been like fraud or other kinds of mischievous behavior happening on the blockchain that we might want to kind of monitor or look at as a whole, right? So what I'm really getting at is as this becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, we're going to see all of these smaller like token projects like I just showed. They're going to start to grow, and all of these little projects are probably going to need some kind of tooling to monitor and help each of the makers of these projects understand how their networks are being used. So I want to really build a bunch of things to help monitor these networks and show what is going on. And in doing so, I hope to, enable a safer blockchain and really just kind of help build a very, very useful kind of search engine or means of going through all these transactions and applying learning. So, like machine learning and other kinds of exciting stuff to analyze it. So, when you look at like things like the resources, you can see like different information and stuff, but I want to know, like, if I want to know who like the top holders are, we can get these accounts and whatnot, but it still takes a little bit of time to go through and do all of these like this work to kind of tally up how much ether this one user would have, right? So we really want to kind of build a tool and be able to say like who are the top, who made the most transactions today of all days, right? Like I don't really know of an easy way to kind of ask for that. So if I go to like view transactions, yeah, I can just see like all the transactions and as they go in. Um, but I really don't know like which one account made the most transactions today. I don't know like which accounts made transactions for the most ether. There's a lot of like other questions that we can really begin to ask with this data because all of this blockchain data is publicly available. In fact, I'm actually starting to run my own Ethereum node right now. Just got a new computer, so I'm kind of filling up its hard drive right now. But this Ethereum node is running and it's now importing all of these blocks. Um, and and these blocks are this is the past. I would say all the blocks I'm getting right now are from the past year, and there's a ton of other blocks that I've been kind of syncing. I started syncing this evening, so I don't know how long it's going to take. I expect that let's see. I expect it to take a little bit, but um I don't know in particular like how much information or how large this is right now. It's around probably going to be what 26 gigs. Okay. So yeah, I don't know the exact size of the blockchain right now, but it's gonna be a little while before this completes. But in running my own node, it's important to kind of do this if you want to be building an explorer and kind of understanding the ecosystem because doing so allows me to contribute back. Kind of just like how a peer-to-peer network like BitTorrent works, the transactions that happen, are all mined by everybody on the network. And if say since I'm syncing right now, and if another node or if I have another computer that I want to begin syncing, it's going to also be able to ask this computer for that. So I'm gonna be able to contribute using my competing resources by giving people blocks when asked, and also just doing a bunch of other stuff to kind of help push this ecosystem a little bit further, which I think is a nice thing to do, especially when developing an app for the blockchain. And also, I think it's going to be useful because um, that's the whole point of like this decentralized system, right? Nobody is in control of it. We all can have control of the system if we wish to run our own nodes and so on and so forth. Now, I will say that in terms of building an Ethereum app or a decentralized app in this case, one of the easiest ways to get started is to use a service called Infura. So Infura is a it's like an API basically that you can use to here we go to access both Ethereum and the interplanetary file system. I haven't really dabbled much in the IPFS just yet, but I know that it's really cool and definitely worth me spending some time to look into. So maybe we can do a video or another event later where I go and learn about the IPFS. So with something like Infura, what you're allowed to do or what you're able to do is essentially you get a URL to use something like Web3, which is um, it's the JavaScript API for accessing the Ethereum network over JSON RPC, which is the protocol that's used to communicate with the Go Ethereum client or whatever Ethereum client you're running, whether it be Go, like Geth or Parity, or there's even a couple other new ones that were announced this week that are now starting to join the club. So if none of what I said just made any sense to you, bear with me. We're going to kind of go through how to deal with all this. So, in a nutshell, Infura is gives you a URL that you can use to access the Ethereum network without you having to run your own node. So that saves you a lot of hard drive space, and overall, it just makes Ethereum development much more accessible. You don't have to run the infrastructure, worry about filling up your hard drive with about a terabyte of information, and you're easily able um, to start just get in and view accounts, create accounts, ask for blocks, transactions, and so on and so forth. So I could technically build my entire project using only Infura, but I wanted to kind of look at and experiment with like what are the latency costs if I were to use something like Infura versus rolling my own node, and just kind of wanted to like do some benchmarking and learn a lot about how to do this stuff. Just in general, I'm just a very curious person. So if I know that I could run a web service on my own machine before I deploy it, I'm going to try to do that. And in this case, it's a pretty large and pretty hefty one, but I think it's going to be a pretty interesting experiment. Also, assuming that my like ISP doesn't get mad at me for downloading a lot of stuff. Um, but yeah, so we're gonna go over Infura and kind of start using it a little bit. Um, I might have to change my keys out and whatnot, but I'll probably do that after this video. If you guys do see my keys, I hope you don't. Um, so yeah, so where was I? So yeah, Etherscan's really cool. Shows you all the transactions, accounts, blocks, and allows you to even do a little bit of looking into things like smart contracts and whatnot. But it's just hard to maybe ask like more advanced questions. So I would really kind of like a means of doing that. But in order to start asking these advanced questions, I need to build a block explorer myself because you need the infrastructure to do this anyways before you can get to um, any of the any of the harder stuff, right? So there are like APIs, you can verify contracts, broadcast them, etc. There's a lot of useful tools here. But I really wanted to see if we could find like some patterns and other stuff by analyzing the whole chain. and that's gonna be a pretty monster of a program. But I think it's gonna be super super fun to try this stuff out. Alrighty, so that's Etherscan. So another tool that's available. That's pretty cool. Called ETH Stats, I believe. Yeah, ETHstats.net, ETHstats.net, and and it shows a list of like all the nodes that are registered to it, and you can see how they're contributing and whatnot. And it's just a really cool dashboard to view the latest and greatest in Ethereum network activity. Ugh, excuse me. So yeah, there's a bunch of stuff going on here. You can learn more about like the network. It really just helps you see like where money is moving, which is really interesting to me. Like yeah, and then there's like even inferior nodes that we can see that are part of like Pantheon and whatnot. So Pegasus is a company that runs all of the inferior infrastructure and whatnot. So yeah, we can talk a little bit more about Infura later. I think I have some interesting opinions on them, and I'm sure a lot of the other Ethereum guys will as well. But we're gonna want to. I just want to kind of work on developing an app instead of getting into politics right now. So so cool. So basically, my goal for my goal for the next few days, maybe the goal for the next week probably is going to be able to build an app, bootstrap it using something like Create React App, and then from there ask the network on Infura for a block, and then use that block to kind of show information from there. So I have a GitHub project that I have set up a while ago, not a while ago, not too long ago, a couple days ago, which contains the some initial code that I've been really like looking at. So let me go log on to my GitHub. So if we go to Bean Labs, which is my company, I'm gonna go to the Safari Blockchain Explorer, which is the name of my project. And yeah, I found this awesome example of figuring out how to use WebSockets to track the latest transactions on Ethereum. It's all part of the Web3 API, but I just wanted an example kind of put together. So this guy, Dmitry Semenovsky, wrote a great article about how to do this, and I want to give him some credit for being really really helpful. Um, so yeah, there's all kinds of libraries depending on whatever language you use. In my case, it was just JavaScript, so I stuck with Node and Web3.js. So you install it with npm, and then we can easily subscribe to the pending transactions or other stuff on there as well. And then we can do the same thing with like confirmations and whatnot. And he's also got some stuff on how to watch like ERC20 tokens. So there's a lot of stuff that you can filter out on the network and use to build um your own technology that's very very similar to that of um Etherscan and whatnot. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to kind of like jump right in, and I'm going to clone my repo and then get started with going through and kind of looking at the the code that we have inside of this blockchain explorer. Shoot, since I got a new computer, I have to set up um, SSH keys and whatnot, which I'm not about to do on a live stream. So I'll be back in just a minute after I get all of this stuff set up and squared away. So hang tight. I'll be back in just a few minutes.